1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hello, and thank you for being here today to listen to my very informative speech on what causes the end of a majority of relationships in this era. My purpose is to inform listeners about the rules for using cell phones while in a relationship and also the advantages and disadvantages they can bring in relationships. According to research provided by King University Online, Americans use their phones 5 hours a day, 2,617 times a day. Swiping or tapping. These numbers are only increasing. I have now been in a relationship for over 4 years, and so I know how important it is to give your significant other the time that they need and deserve. Cell phones can be great, but they can also be damaging when it comes to relationships. An advantage cell phones can bring would be in long distance relationships. In this case, a cell phone will keep the relationship and the communication going. Without a cell phone, the long distance relationship can become disconnected very quickly. Relationships can heavily rely on communication, and the disadvantage that cell phones bring in a relationship is the time that you actively spend with your significant other. More than 50% of young people admit in a survey that they feel addicted to their phones, and when one person in the relationship is using their phone, this can send the other person in their relationship the wrong message or make them feel like there is something more important that their significant other is looking at on their phones. This can cause insecurities and doubts, which lead to many more problems. The disadvantage and advantages have a lot to do with the rules for what should be and should not be done in relationships. When in a relationship, one should be open and honest with their cell phone usage. In a relationship, you shouldn't have to hide what you're doing on your cell phone. If you're being in an open and honest relationship, what you use your cell phone for should be appropriate and respecting to your significant other, as they should do the same for you. In your relationship, you should know the appropriate time to use your cell phone. The appropriate time is not when you're supposed to be spending quality time or on a date, on a romantic dinner, etc. These graphs that I'm now going to show in the clip, the first one is of a young couple on a date, and the male is using his cell phone for a majority of the date, which is causing the lady to be very upset. Obviously, she's not enjoying her time. There is something obviously more important on his phone that he can't be spending quality time with her. The next clip is a graph that shows the percentage of cell phone users and when they use their phones during social activities. The first one says that 89% of the people surveyed did at least one of the things below. So the things that they did was read a message such as text or email, took a photo or video, sent a message, received an incoming call, placed a call, used an app on their phone. All these percentages are a lot higher than they should be. These people are at social events, which means they're being inactive in this social event. The next one that I have for you is a cartoon, just to bring some humor to the speech. It says, "Do you mind if I strap your phone to my forehead so I can pretend that you're looking at me when you talk?" So clearly this lady is very upset that her significant other is spending more time on her phone, and she wishes that he would just even pretend to listen to her. The last one is a graph that shows the cell phones and how they're ruining our younger generation. The impacts on the youngsters' social life is what it says. The constructive effects of it would be like the good ones. It's making people closer. It's socializing you easier because you can contact someone with a click of a thumb. And then it's easier to connect to the world. But then again, it's easier to connect to the world, but like on the destructive side, it's saying your presence is becoming inactive because you're not spending the quality time with the people in front of you. It becomes an addiction. And most of these relationships are so-called fake because you're not being in front of the person talking to them. And then we have another cartoon that has two people staring at their cell phones talking, but they're not actually, participating in a conversation. They're just inactively speaking. And then I have some questions for you guys. Any questions?
I have a question. So, where did you start? Where did you get your statistics from?
So most of my statistics were from Online Academic Journal from SPC's Library Online. My first statistic that I got that had the hours a day that someone spends on their thing and the amount of tapping that they use on their device I got from the King University online. Any other questions?
What if both parties in the relationships are addicted to their cell phones?
In my personal opinion, that is not a healthy relationship, and if it's not corrected or fixed, it's not going to be a healthy relationship. It's not going to last very long. That's in my opinion.
Once it's already become an unhealthy relationship because of cell phones, can it be fixed?
If both parties are willing to fix and cooperate and, take more time out of the cell phone usage and spend time with them, quality time, and not being on their cell phones, I do believe that it could be fixed, but both parties have to be willing to participate. And then for my conclusion, there are many positives that cell phones bring, but most can be deadly for relationships if not used properly. Cell phones can help with long distance relationships and keep communication. And then also, on the other hand, cell phones can damage a relationship indefinitely. In a relationship, both of the people involved need to feel loved and cherished. The time you spend together is crucial, and spending it on your cell phone will not end in a healthy or happy relationship.